Okay, everyone. How are we doing today on this Tuesday? Hope everyone had a nice holiday. If you're a real estate agent and you probably don't really know what a holiday is because it's just nonstop, right, Tristan? All the time with real estate. And hold on, I'm having a little problem here with there we go. My computer was doing weird things. But you know what? That's part of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about protecting your mental health and avoiding burnout. And if you're working holidays, you're going to want to listen up. Nothing wrong with working holidays, but if you're working there's a difference between working holidays because you want to and working holidays because you have to. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with working on a holiday. But just, I think like if you're working on a holiday, it's because you just enjoy working. I know Tristan is working on holidays because he just loves working.
That's true. Hold on. I know we've got a really great agenda, but as people are chiming in here early, I think there's a misconception about, and it connects with mental pain. So you tell me, Nick, there's a misconception with pain in general, not like physical pain, but the hardness of something to accomplish something. And I think our relationship, for most people, our relationship with pain, with the amount of work something needs to actually get through to be successful, relationships, working out, work in general, whatever it is. The relationship with pain, I think, needs to change for a lot of us because some of us sometimes forget or don't even know that certain levels of success require a lot more pain and a lot more work. And some of that is very uncomfortable. And I don't know that a lot of us start there. We think, oh, this should be easy all the time or the majority of the time. And that's sometimes where sometimes that mental health problem starts from the very beginning.
Well, think about like, if you can remember way back in the day when you got your real estate license and when I got my real estate license, I remember there were people in the real estate class, and they're just like, I can't wait to get licensed. I'm going to make so much money. They just think that real estate school is like the easy button and they think that real estate agents just make all of this money. And so they go to real estate school, but they don't realize it's not an easy button, that like it is building a business from the ground up. And granted, like, in the grand scheme of startup costs, real estate school is affordable and does have a great ROI, but it doesn't come with an easy button. And so like there's a ton of pain with that. Just the realization of, wait a minute, this is not easy. You know what I mean? Do you remember when you were in class and there were people who were like, oh man, I can't wait to make tons of money. I'm going to make so much money. You remember that?
I do. I remember that. I was actually a little scared to say when it came to me, like, how much money? I'm like, I just want to make a living.
Yeah. I just want to but like, well, then they don't teach you how to create a business. They teach you important things, but it's like algebra. When are you going to use it again? Really? You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true, man.
So this is the self-care, mental health for real estate agents. We're going to discuss strategies for burnout, stress management, and building healthy habits. And I just want to let you guys know a little bit about, my journey with mental health has been a difficult one. And, over the last decade or so, I've like figured out for me, and it might not work for everybody. I figured out how to be happy a good amount of the time. You know what I mean? We're not going to be happy all the time. We have feelings. We're not robots. We have emotions. But personally, I have, been diagnosed with ADHD, depression, anxiety. So for the most part, though, over the years, I've figured out what works for me and how to keep myself out of a funk. And Tristan, you've known me for almost 10 years. So, I've had lots of ups and downs. I think you could safely say over the last couple of years, I haven't had as many downs. I think you could probably agree with that.
Dude, 100%.
So
I agree.
Yeah. And, even if you have clinical depression or seasonal depression or your depression because of the market, the unknowns, all of that is totally legitimate, especially in an industry like real estate that's so up and down. So like a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about comes from personal experience. And Tristan, do you want to kind of give a little intro there? Yeah, I just want to say one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Tristan and I are not counselors. We're not therapists. We're not psychologists. So don't think of this as a therapy session or a counseling service.
Although it feels like, as real estate agents, it feels like we're therapists often.
Right. We're always there. But we're not giving you clinical advice. We're just discussing things that affect us as real estate professionals.
You got it. And I think just from doing things on purpose, doing things on purpose at a higher level consistently, inviting stressors, inviting fear, inviting more pain, we've been able to do a better job in handling that because we were purposeful in the amount of those things that we sought. And so in breaking down, often, sometimes things were thrown at us that we didn't expect, but in breaking down with our family, at home, working out, at work, at every level, we've figured out certain things, and those are the things we want to share with you.
Yeah, because people will look at Tristan, and I'll get this a lot. They'll look at both of us. They'll say, how do you guys do all of it? How do you guys stay so positive all the time? And, people only see us in certain instances in our lives, and so how do we do all of it? It's sometimes it's really friggin' hard, and sometimes we don't do all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then sometimes you just don't have a choice. But nobody wants to see us woe is me all the time. But I do feel like there is something to be said about, and I think now more than ever, you're going to see people who other people see as leaders in the industry being more vulnerable and being more honest and real. Used to, when I became a team leader with Keller Williams, one of the things people told me was always have a smile on your face. Everything is great. Everything is happy. And it's when you're a team leader, that's the complete opposite of what it really is. So it can be hard to mask that stuff. And that, if you're trying to mask something, can be a struggle all on its own. But anyway, Tristan, feel free to shut me up anytime. Really, that'd be great.
No, I think let's just get started with.
Yeah, let's go. We're going to talk about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, first is understanding the challenges faced by agents. I think.
Yeah. High workload. So understanding the challenges faced by real estate agents. We know that there is being a real estate professional can demand a lot from your time. Especially if you're wanting to create a successful business, at first, if you're a brand new agent, you feel like you got to pop up all the time, answer every call, answer every text, answer every email, jump at everybody's whim. And that can be very difficult. It doesn't ever really change. It just becomes different. As you become more successful and you have leverage and you have, admins, your time can be, split. And so you won't feel as pressured, but the time demands that real estate agents deal with can be very, very difficult. That's why I said when we started, hope everyone had a great holiday, when really in actuality, what is a holiday when you're a realtor? Mm-hmm. Emotional demands, client expectation. We're a customer service first business. And so, your brand is the way that you treat a client. And unfortunately, people out there are unforgiving and they may not understand certain things about you. They might not care that you have a family, or they might not care that you have a life outside of real estate because they want to buy the house. And you're the one to help them do that. And so their expectations could be very high. But then at the same time, you can set expectations from the get-go. When I first started out, I set expectations at the wrong time. Like, I told a client that I didn't work on a certain day at a certain time, but that was at the wrong time. I didn't do it at the beginning. I did it like a month into working with him. And then he went and found another agent after I had showed him 30 homes. You got to set those expectations at the right time. Yeah. And then your clients will most likely understand, that you do have a family, that you do have a life outside of real estate. So some of the things that you can do to reduce that stress is to set client expectations, to reduce that time demand, emotional demand. How do you set client expectations, Tristan?
Well, I think this is where it all starts. So break out your pencils, type up whatever you want. The challenge, the biggest challenge you're going to have is with yourself, with the expectations you've set for the day. And I don't know that you do that on a daily basis. Like part of your routine in the morning, I'll give you something that I've been using for a while now. So a lot of you know, or have heard of, if you've been listening to us, Marcus Aurelius. He's been around he's died a long time ago, 2,000 years ago. But
he was around.
His journal's been around for a long time, and 2,000 years. And he has a great quote. I'm going to read it. I just looked it up as I was listening to Nick. And he wrote this around 120 AD to 180 AD, somewhere around there, towards the end of his life. This is when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They're all like this because they cannot tell good from evil. And he continues. But the point is, he's setting his expectations for disappointment. And you know what we do? We do the opposite. We're like, today's going to be great. Everybody's going to be happy. Everybody's yeah. And you're already setting yourself up for a massive fall. It's like, Nick, if I'm expecting people to be pissy at me in this chat, people to go crazy in lab code agents, my clients to be upset at me for something I didn't even do, then at least I know, how am I going to respond knowing that people are going to be ungrateful towards me? And at that point, I'm like, okay, got it. I know how I'm going to respond. So a lot of people are like, why are you so calm all the time? Well, that's because I'm always expecting shit to happen every time. So
basically what you're saying is expect the worst and everything will work out.
Yeah, but be purposeful in your expectations. I'm just joking. Be purposeful in that.
That is true. Like you hear all of these people saying affirmations like today's going to be great. I'm awesome. Everyone's going to be super nice to me. You can't control what other people are going to be like.
Yeah, your affirmations need to be who you want to become or who you are right now. None of your affirmations can be controlling of what a situation is coming in from other people or from other things happening. It's everything has to do how you're responding to them. Those are your affirmations, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good point. So just kind of, I guess, change the way that you do those daily affirmations and you can't control, as long as you understand you can't control what other people are going to act like or how they're going to react to you.
Yeah. There's a direct correlation to, and you've seen this, Nick, as we've continually pushed towards becoming a better version of ourselves in different parts of our life, right? At home, at work, physically. The more you press towards that, there's a direct correlation as to the amount of pain that comes with it. Either means if you're trying to succeed at a higher level in real estate, you're going to talk to more grumpy people. More shit's going to happen to you. More stuff's going to go wrong, right? You're just hitting walls. And I don't know that we ever correlate with that. It's like, look, the way up, it's hard. And it's the harder you go, the harder it gets. And there is a correlation. So expect that. I'm telling you, expect that. I want you to set realistic expectations of the amount of emotional challenges you're going to have.
I think that's a great piece of advice. As long as you expect it, it's not going to affect you as much.
Yeah. And you're like, got it. I knew something like this was going to happen. It's not me. Because the first thing we think, Nick, is like, we think one of two things. It's like, why do they have to be so stupid? Number one, or what's wrong with me? Right. And both thoughts are not constructive. You're not building anything on that. Right. Because what's wrong with me is getting you the wrong way. And why are they so stupid is going the wrong way too. So I think setting the expectation, saying, I know how I'm going to respond. If I find a challenge, I'm going to look for the solution. It's going to hurt me, probably going to hurt me a lot. I'm going to make mistakes, and people are not going to see the world the way I see it. And I'm just going to move forward and find a solution. And there will be times where you will have no solution at all. And nobody tells you that. People's like, oh, you're always funny. You're either a victim or you're solution oriented. In some cases, there are no solutions. The solution is you get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Well, there will come a point in your business where you will have the ability to pick and choose who you want to work with. There will be that moment. And some of you may be there now, and some of you may be on your way there. Because it's not going to happen immediately, especially especially in a tough market, you want to get all the business you possibly can. But, there's going to be a time where you're going to be like, listen, who do I want to work with? Who's going to make me feel like I want to go to work every single day? But if you go out there into the world with realistic expectations, that'll definitely help your mindset, and you won't be as put off or surprised when someone is grumpy. That definitely is. I should have thought of that. I should have been doing that. You know what I mean? I would always get so angry when people were I never understood why people were so miserable. But you have to understand, when people are buying and selling houses, that's what happens. It's very stressful and emotional.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, let's talk about, let's jump into, how the pressure of juggling multiple clients and listings and showings. You want to jump into that?
Yeah, I think that just getting into that world where, like, first you're trying to get business and you don't know where to get it from, and it's stressing you out that you have no business. Then when you have business, you're trying to figure out how to handle all of the different emotions, and you're juggling everyone from attorneys to title escrow to inspectors to the client to lenders to everyone. And it becomes a challenge, number one, because you're so new to it. And if you're going further up, it's like you're breaking a barrier every time. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a challenge. And I think the number one way to start helping yourself mentally is, one, you need someone to be able to talk to consistently about it.
Yeah.
Because bouncing ideas off of someone, bouncing your pain, emotional pain, just feeling out situations with somebody. If I'm in the middle of something and I call Nick and I'm like, hey, Nick, man, today was terrible, man. Like, I have this and this. What do you think? And then either getting somebody that I love and respect as a friend to give me, hey, how about this? Or, or just sitting there and listening to me. Like, this is like a quick mastermind, and just saying, am I crazy? Or just thanks for listening. Just somebody there for you. That's important.
Yeah.
How often do we go back and forth on this? We're like, I text you, I'm like, dude, I'm so not sure on this one.
Yeah. But not just that. It's so important to have someone that supports what you're doing, like supports your entrepreneurship, have relationships with people that, that cheer you on. Because being in this business, you'd think we were crazy to get into this business. Right. But so you got,
that's so true.
Yeah. So like, if I didn't have, like, let's take my wife, for instance, if I didn't have her, like, she's got to be comfortable with everything that I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so she's always like, I'm totally for that. That's great. You should do that. I'm for, I know that you'll make it work. You know, you want to have someone who will be there and not just like tell you what you want to hear, but someone who will support what you're trying to do. If you're around people all the time that, you know, are going to give you doubt whether or not you'll succeed, it's going to take a toll on you. So having close relationships with people who are supportive of what you're doing and cheering you on, definitely help.
You know what? There's also another challenge mentally as we're dealing with all of these different aspects of business. Where do I get business? I have too much business. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. And then again, where do I get more business? It's a cycle.
Hey, there's a really good question, by the way.
Which one?
On Facebook from Leslie.
What's up, Leslie?
What's up, Leslie, on Facebook? Sorry, I didn't see this earlier. She's like, having been in real estate long term, have you both found that the quality of your clients have evolved as you have evolved?
Yeah.
Totally.
100%.
I could say like the better I got at selling houses, the better I got at real estate, the more, I don't want to say like higher level, but like the less bullshit I had to deal with. You know, like you start attracting people who are successful. And the more successful you get, successful people like to work with successful people. So the more successful you get, the more successful your clients are going to be and the less bullshit you're going to have to deal with. You know, like you're not going to have to worry as much as like, are they going to get pre-approved? Is their loan going to go through? Do they have, what's their credit score? You're just going to attract people who are successful like you, and there's going to be less doubt. And that definitely helps.
Yeah, along the way too, you're gaining more confidence and you're also better able to identify who's there to waste your time and who isn't. Because in this whole process, you're also attracting better quality people because you've also been working on yourself on a consistent basis as you're growing.
Yeah.
So you're like, not only are you attracting better people to work with as clients, but if you're growing a team, if you're growing a business, you're also attracting better quality people to work with on a friendly staff employee type basis as well, and partnerships too.
Yeah. Aaron on Zoom made a really good point. You also learn to avoid mistakes and set better expectations. So the client themselves may not be better quality, but you train them to be better quality, to have better quality. And Jerry says on Zoom, I think that as you grow, you also get better at setting expectations. So again, it circles back to expectations. Set those expectations. You don't answer the phone after a certain time. You don't work certain days. You don't reply to emails between this hour and this hour. Like the second you open that door with a text after a time that you have set that expectation that you don't reply, the second you open that door, it's open forever. It's open forever. Yeah. So I learned I used to have, and people thought it was crazy. My voicemail would say, "Hi, this is Nick, and I can't get to the phone right now. If it's after 7 p.m., I'll call you back the morning of the next business day." People thought I was nuts. I would have clients calling me at like 9 o'clock, leaving me messages. Nick, I know it's after 7 o'clock. I'm so sorry. If I didn't call you, I would forget. Don't call me back tonight. Call me tomorrow. Like people would feel like, oh my God, don't be mad. You know what I mean? That stuff works. So that'll help your mental well-being for sure.
Yeah, very true.
So the uncertainty of income and the need to constantly generate leads and close sales can lead to stress and anxiety. Yeah, because like, let's just say like, you know, in a market like this where it's kind of nuts and the last few years have been up and down, like in, you know, like rapid fire. Yes, definitely the uncertainty of income can make you feel like, you know, there's a great quote It's not great, but it's funny. It's Ben Affleck from Boiler Room. And he says, anyone who says money doesn't buy happiness never fucking had any. He's like, look at me smiling ear to ear, baby. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it definitely can make you feel more comfortable, and it definitely relieves stress. So I can understand, like, the uncertainty of income in this business is real. And like having to always like wake up and lead generate, but also like I find it's very important to lead generate in a way that makes you feel good. Like you'll hear a lot of people saying, hit those expireds and for sale by owners. Yeah, but if I'm miserable doing that, like I'm just not gonna be happy. But if I'm calling people that I know and just having conversations and saying hi or inviting them to client events or, you know, doing a contest or running a Facebook ad and just following up on leads, like that's the stuff personally that makes me feel good about lead generating. But if I have to call people that don't want to talk to me, of course I'm going to be in a negative mood. You know what I mean?
Well, also here's the bigger challenge we have as human beings. And I'm talking to the majority of real estate agents, right? So we tie our identity a lot of the times to these goals that we set. And we also tie our identities to what we think real estate agents means to us. Like, what is a real estate agent? Well, I need to make money. And then at the end of the day, money is what we tie our identities to, and that equals success or no success. And so what I want you to start looking at this, like, so you have less of a challenge with what you're dealing with on a daily basis, which means a lot of the stuff you do long-term doesn't produce anything until you do it consistently for a very long time, like farming, right? Or anything else. I think your life depends on your standards, not your goals. Like, don't upgrade your goals. If you work on your standards on a daily basis, then you start changing who you are, how you function, and then who you're becoming. Tie your identity to the standards that you have on a daily basis. What's my schedule look like? My morning routine, evening routine? Do I work out? How much time do I spend with my family? How much time do I spend learning, right? Which we'll get into. But the standards really are what can set you apart so that you start having less emotional up and downs. It's what we can control, right? We were talking about what we can or can't control. We can control how we function. Yeah. And that's where a lot of the challenges come from that we watch on lab coats or anywhere else. All of those challenges that you're seeing out there are because we're focused so much on things we can't control. Right?
Totally, dude. That's like you said before, like people are like, you're either a victim or you have a solution. Sometimes you just don't have a solution, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You know, it does. I've gone back and forth with, let me see how I can make sense of this. So like when you only focus on, when you say you can only focus on things that you can control directly, some people might say, well, that's selfish, right? Like there's so many things in the world that, you can't directly control, but yes, the world can be a negative place, but like focusing on your own bubble and your own business, what you can't control how people are going to act. You can't control what people are going to do. You can't control if a client fires you or doesn't fire you. You can't control any of those things. Yes, there are things in the world that like are outside of our little bubble that maybe we want to help with. Like maybe you want to like volunteer and feed the homeless or something. You can definitely like control that. But what I'm saying is like, if you focus too much on the things that are outside of your direct control, like I struggled with that a long time, like always being concerned with outside forces. And as soon as I realized like, you know what? Like if that person doesn't want to work with me, that's on them. That person buys the house with another agent because they walked into an open house and they wrote an offer. But that's on them. They're going to get subpar service because I'm the best, and there's always going to be someone else. That's definitely helped me. If it makes any sense at all, what I said, I don't know. Let me know if it didn't make sense, because sometimes I just go off on a tangent. Wait, Aaron Wagner has a good point or question. How do you deal with lack of enthusiasm on the day? How do you deal with lack of enthusiasm on the day to day? Some days, the last thing I want to do on earth is go into the office and lead generate. Overall lack of passion for the day in and day out kills my spirit. So I'll just comment real quick, and then Tristan, I'll hand it over to you. But I think like a lot of what we've been saying can help you with that. Like, go into the office and lead generate. If you're lead generating in a way that is making you miserable, because you hear a lot of people hit the phones, smile and dial. That's miserable. But like, if you can text people, comment on statuses on Facebook, message people, call people that know you, call your past clients, see how they're doing, plan a client event and invite people to a party. Who doesn't like being invited to a party? Have a contest. A lot of agents, like I have a friend who gave away a Peloton. That's expensive. That's like, but I'm saying this is an example. She gave away a Peloton, but like between certain hours of a certain day, you had to call her. So she promoted it through her database.
I remember
posted
that
it on Facebook. Yeah. And you had to call her. Let's say it was a Tuesday between like 9 and 5. You had to call her to enter to be entered into win the Peloton. So like, you're having conversations with people that are calling you.
Mm-hmm.
Lead generate the way that makes you happy. If you love calling expires and FSBOs, do it. I hate it. I never really did it. I did it because I was told to, but then I realized what I really want to do. So that's my piece of advice for you on that.
I like that. Aaron, Nick's right on, man. I'm going to add to it, though, and remind you. It reminds me of a story, and I'll get into it, but just remind you that it's a normal thing, right? There are days that you're not going to want to do things, whether you like them or not. And in what Nick was saying, whereas you try to focus on things that you're already good at or you enjoy doing, but still challenge yourself. Here's the story. I was talking to Seth Godin 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about writer's block, right? He's a techie writer, right? Blogger. And he said, Tristan, this is outside of the podcast we did. He said, Tristan, writer's block is a myth, by the way. I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about that. He's like, there is no such thing as writer's block. It's self-imposed. What I want you to do is if you don't know what to write, just sit down and write anything, blah, blah, crap, banana, anything. And what you'll start seeing is that things will come out, whether they're good or bad, right? Don't be the judge, just write. And the thing that he was telling me after was like, the lack of passion is going to be there no matter what. Some days you feel like it, some days you don't. But what you have to be aware of, and this is what I tell my kids, is that you're training your mind, you're creating new neural pathways on how your body and your mind are going to respond when you have a challenge. Like, I don't want to show up. I don't want to work out. I don't want to make those calls. I don't want to do this. You're always not going to want to do something. You're training yourself how you're going to show up the next day and the following day and the following day after that. So when you don't want to show up, just show up. That's the hard part about everything we're telling you. It's like you've already chosen something that you want to do. Choose the stuff that you're good at already, right? That's what Nick said. Now, since you've already done that, well, guess what? I don't freaking care if you don't want to show up. You've got to just show up. That's part of the hard. And nobody's going to tell you that because they're like, oh, if you don't feel like showing, yeah, those are all the losers that are telling you not to show up. You want to make it in this business? You want to make it in life? You got to work out every day. You got to break down the muscles and it's going to hurt. It's like, oh, but it's like, yeah, that's part of it. You want to have a better relationship? You're going to have hard, difficult conversations with your wife and your spouse. They're not always great. You want to do good in business? Well, guess what? You got to show up when you don't want to. That's the truth. That's how
I feel personally attacked right now, Tristan.
No, I'm just, I think that's part of the
very passionate.
Yeah, I think that's part of the stuff that nobody tells you. It's like, oh, you can get
Marilyn on Zoom says she feels personally attacked too.
Yeah, it's good. You need somebody to personally attack you and hold.
Oh, I agree. That was a good one.
Hey, it's okay. This is part of it. It's part of it. Like if you're not talking stuff like this on a daily basis, like who's challenging you? Who's pushing you to move forward on the days you don't want to show up?
Yeah. Now, listen, the same people who support what you're doing need to give you the tough love too.
Yeah.
Like I have a tendency for like getting bored easily. And so, I think like maybe I should do this or that, or the grass is greener over here. And I'll like, talk to my wife about it. And she'll be like, you know what? She goes, I'm really sick and tired of you changing your mind all the time. She's like, so just decide what you want to do and just do it. Yeah. Because she's like, this is getting really old.
Yeah.
But like, she's still being supportive at the same time, telling me things I don't want to hear. That's supportive too.
That's because you have somebody who truly wants to see you succeed, right?
Right.
There's a difference between those people that just kind of agree with you just so you go away, or they just agree with you because they don't want you to succeed at that same level, or they're so used to functioning at a much lower level in life that that's all they know. You want to be around people that challenge you to be the better version of yourself because they've been there. They believe in you. They really want you to succeed. Right?
Yeah.
That's the level of friendship you want. And I know that some of you are thinking, well, what about burnout? If you do a lot of the things that make you unhappy, you're going to burn out. Nick, what do you think about burnout? How does that function?
So, I feel like burnout can also be related. I haven't had burnout in a very long time, but I feel like when I was burning out, I was trying to please everybody. I was doing things that didn't make me happy. I was letting negativity get into my brain. I was just kind of trying to be a people pleaser. And I didn't allow myself to have, that routine. Wasn't allowing myself to do the things that I need to do on a regular basis. Like I wasn't allowing myself to do the things to help me show up. Like there are certain things that are like non-negotiables in my life. Right. And so like when you start letting people get into your brain and those non-negotiables get pushed to the side, then maybe the non-negotiable is hitting the gym every day. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's meditating. Maybe it's, going for a run. Maybe it's walking the dog and just getting fresh air. When those start to be chipped away at, you're probably not going to be very happy. And then burnout's going to set in because you're not living for yourself. So I feel like the reason why I haven't felt burnout in a long time is because I have those non-negotiables and they are the most important. I always say an appointment with yourself is the most important appointment. Like I know Tristan and a lot of people don't know this, Tristan plays Fortnite with his son every day. People don't know that, but he does. That's probably a non-negotiable. Like, that's something that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think a way to avoid burnout is to make appointments with yourself, because your free time doesn't mean you're available. Does that make sense? People correlate free time with availability. So, my free time, I'll go to the gym, or I'll read, or I'll go outside and throw the ball around with the dog. I'm busy with me. So just make sure that like your free time doesn't mean you're available. Just be aware of that. And that'll help you hugely with burnout.
Dude, you're right on that. I think that is a lot. That's probably the majority of where burnout comes from, because we're not prioritizing the things that are truly important to us, right? Self, family, business. And there's a quote I want to read to you from the book Winning by Tim Grover. I just wrapped it up 2 weeks ago. And I'm just going to read it to you. If you're looking for a page, it's page 08 through page 09. It says, I'll put it in the chat if you're in the webinar section, and then Nick, if you want to put it into the Facebook group.
Okay.
There it is. I'll read it to you. It says, you're trying to put energy into everything and you feel like a total failure because you can't do it all, at least not successfully. You're distracted and angry, and you blame everyone else for demanding so much of you and making this all so difficult. It feels like there's some invisible enemy holding you back and throwing immovable obstacles in your way. There's no invisible enemy. The enemy is you. And when you have time, when you think you have time for everything equally, that's when you're winning at nothing and you feel like you're burning out. That's what he's telling you. And that's what Nick's saying. Hey, there are some priorities. What are those? Let's identify those. I love seeing Nick work out because I know he's prioritizing himself first so that he shows up better for everyone else. And he has less burnout, if no burnout at all. So yeah, look inwardly here, right? Because this is where it starts. Aaron, one of the things I've realized with the most successful people is they have learned how to rest. They have know themselves seriously. They know what gives them rest. That's something I'm trying to figure out. What does recharging my battery actually look like? Aaron, that's a really good question. In fact, I'd love for everybody to take a moment right now and write down what that looks like to you. Like what satisfies you? What makes you super happy? When you're doing that, it's like everything else stops and it's like you're enjoying it. You feel like you're rejuvenated. What is that for you? Like, write it down. Nick, what is that for you?
What
is that for you? Like, when you're done, you feel like, man, I just gained a lot of time. I feel
it doesn't take a lot, right? Like, I really value time, like with my wife. Like, as much as I love my kids, sometimes I just can't wait for them to go to bed. So, so she and I can just hang out.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? That's like the best time. So, what I was also going to say was I was going to compare it to, like sport, like an athlete. There's a reason why, there's less football games in a season than there are baseball games in a season, because football is so much more taxing on the body. You're being like jumped on and elbowed and kneed and punched, and not punched, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Baseball, not as taxing on the body. You're running in short increments. You're hitting a ball. You're not really probably not breaking a sweat as much, but there's a reason why your brain needs rest too.
Yeah.
When agents say, hashtag never sleep, hashtag no days off, I'm like, dude, that's just dumb. Seriously.
I mean, look, you can have no days off as long as you have a really good rest curriculum each day.
Right. Like I know, Tristan, that like you might not take full days off, but you'll like take half days off.
I do.
And if you do that a couple times a week, that equals a whole day.
Yeah. Plus going back to what rejuvenates you, there are certain things that rejuvenate you more than others, right?
Yes.
So you have to
just don't do it, because you can say that you did. Like I feel like there's a competition in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's this competition with like who can work more.
Yeah.
That's why yesterday in lab coats was Memorial Day. So I posted, I'm like, hey, it's a national holiday. Here come the competitions. Like if you're going to work, awesome. If you're not going to work, awesome. Just be awesome with whatever you decide to do. Like nobody gives a crap. You're not winning a trophy. You know what I mean? For most days worked.
It's a good point, man. And to Aaron's point, Aaron, when you're trying to realize what rejuvenates you, I think maybe this is this is more for everyone listening in, as we're trying to identify what burns us out or what takes energy from us, because there are certain things that take more energy from us than others. I'd like for you to do one of two things. One, the harder one is just sit down and grab a piece of paper and just write down what takes energy away from you. Like, where do you feel like you don't want to do it? Oh, part of your work. Like when it comes to what part of your work or what people don't you want to talk to? So then you start identifying a certain trend, right? Or you just identify those things that just take energy away from you. The other part to this is, I'm trying to remember who told me the book Buy Back Your Time. I can't read the author's name because I can't see that far, but the book is called Buy Back Your Time. Oh, Dan Martels, that's his name. When I talked to Dan, he said, Tristan, do me a favor, go through your calendar and everything on your calendar that you have planned for that day, put a little green dot or highlight it green if it gives you energy, right? If you're looking forward to it, like I was looking forward to this. And you then go through it and say, what on your calendar you feel like you have to show up? It's taking energy away from you. Highlight that in red. Now your goal is to, at some point, either remove those, do less of those, or delegate those red ones, because that's making you feel like that thing that we were talking about earlier up, if we go up on the thread, but that's like where you're like, I don't want to do that. And if you do a lot of those, I don't want to do that, that's when you start burning out, right? Because you look at, who was it that we talked to, Nick? Oh, shit, I forgot. The guy from P90X, Tony Horton. He had burned out. And he's like, now I have a little journal. He goes, I know exactly what to do every day when I feel like that little burnout is tugging at me a little bit. Like, oh, I'm just going to go play the guitar. I'm going to go rock out outside. I'm going to go run. I'm going to go walk. I'm going to go do something on my list of 11 things that make me feel more purposeful and rejuvenated. Sometimes it's that simple, guys.
Totally agree with that. So we're coming down to the wire here where we're going to sign off in a few minutes, but if you guys are feeling mentally just drained, mentally whether you're, like I said, clinical depression, ADHD, which is a real thing. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, dude, it just like was the bridge to like everything else. Like I had the depression and the anxiety, and then when my doctor was like, let's test you for ADHD, which when I was growing up, they didn't have these tests that were like,
yeah.
So my parents never really got to the root of it. But when I took that test, he's like, dude, you're lighting up like a Christmas tree. And like, that's what he said to me. And so, yeah, it's good when your doctor says that.
Hold on, Nick, I have a question about that, because you're living it. How much does exercise and diet play a factor?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
In your ADHD.
For me, like it's a huge part just for my mental well-being as a whole. Like for like ADHD can be a good thing, but for me, doesn't ever feel like a good thing in the sense that like, you know, Tristan, you're really good at doing many things at once or having many notifications on, like, you know, answering texts, whatever, like you're just good at it. Right. For me, it's like a racket in my brain. If I have to do like one thing at a time. So you're usually much quicker than I am. I'll be like, hey man, hey, I got this idea and I'm just going to outline it. And you'll be like, oh, I already did it. You know what I mean? Like you just add what you want to add to it. Like when the hell when do you do this? Like, you know, or like we'll have multiple text message threads going on with different things that we're working on. And you're just really good at responding to all of them. And sometimes I don't respond on purpose because like, I just can't, I got to focus.
Yeah, I know that.
But like, sorry guys, like I said, I'm just getting over bronchitis. It's like not annoying. But what I was saying was when you're the depression leads to anxiety. And when you're feeling down and you're anxious, you can't get anything done. But really what it comes down to is like the ADHD ties it all together because it helps once you're on the right track, it helps you get focused. And so then therefore the anxiety depletes and then the depression depletes. So it's really like ADHD is in the middle. So it's connecting everything together and allowing you to just think more clearly. But yes, if working out is huge for me. Eating right is huge for me. I do obviously take medication, but it's not just the medication. Like I feel like if I took the medication but didn't eat right or exercise, it wouldn't do nearly as much as it, because you can't rely 100% on medication.
No, I've seen it with you.
Yeah, dude. Like there was like a couple years there where I just didn't hit the gym and I was on medication. It just didn't have the same effect. My dog makes me happy. The kids make me happy. My wife, all of these things, like, you know, going to Disney World recently, that definitely helped.
I love the pictures.
Thanks. Yeah. So like taking breaks, sometimes like I'll take a break in the middle of the day and like play The Last of Us on PlayStation for 30 minutes. But then that game's super high anxiety for me. Like,
dude, tell me about it.
Yeah. So like I'll have to turn that off after a while, but you know, there's certain things that you definitely need to do, like work-life balance. I don't think that's a thing. I think counterbalance is a thing. I don't think there's a such thing as like balancing work and life.
No,
I think like if you're in real estate, you have to become confident. You have to become, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're comfortable, yes. If you're in real estate, you have to become comfortable with the counterbalance. Because like I said, you know, before even though you set your expectations, you still can be on other people's time frames too. So like there's nothing wrong with going on vacation and having to send an email or a text message as long as you're all in with your family, you know, but counterbalance is more realistic than a work-life balance, I think. Because a work-life balance means both things are of equal importance.
Yeah, they're not.
You know, like, is your job more important than your family? Your job's important to support your family, but if you had to choose one, you'd probably choose your family, hopefully. That's why a counterbalance, you know, you can...
Depending on how much money you want to make, right?
Right. But I think like practicing self-care and time management and setting boundaries, I think setting realistic goals, practicing self-care, managing your time, taking breaks, setting boundaries, and prioritizing tasks. Those are super important.
Yeah. Well, hold on that. Tying your
shoes.
Tying your shoes. Finishing each other's
sandwiches.
There you go. I knew you were gonna. Tying your feelings, your expectations, again, just going through that list that Nick said, tying all of that to your standards, again, your standards. Because if we go back to what Nick has been doing, it's like working out, eating better, right? Spending time with his family, taking a lot more breaks. And I think that's where we completely miss that feeling like we're not doing enough, and then having that cause us to go deeper into anxiety, depression, and further down the line.
I also feel like it's also has to do with like where you work, right? Like, you know, in your environment.
Dude, we didn't even talk about that.
I know. Let's just talk about that real quick.
That was good. Yes, that's important.
Like like at home, I'm surrounded by comic books because it makes me happy. You know, like I love, you know, a couple years ago, 3 years ago now, you know, we had, you know, my wife and I were thankful enough that we were able to purchase a cottage by the on the Lake Huron in Michigan. And like, dude, when I'm in my cottage working, oh my God, it's like the best. You know what I mean? Granted, I'd rather be across the street at the lake, but I'm at the cottage and it's just a crazy cool environment. So like, if you don't want to go to the office, don't go to the office. Like, go somewhere that has an atmosphere that makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'd rather work from paradise than, you know, be miserable.
Or have a work environment where the people you work with appreciate you, respect you, and set a vision where you can all win together, rather than more of an oppressive work environment as well. That's important.
There's a couple things real quick. Todd on Zoom says, you're speaking my ADHD language, getting back to exercise, good diet, getting outside, more meditation. Those move the needle for me. I take randomly timed dog walks to escape a moment. I need to get back on meds. I know they work for me. And then on Facebook, Leslie saying a couple fun things from Jungian psychology on this topic. Depression is anger turned inward. Anxiety and excitement are the same psychological energy. The only difference is the label and story our minds tell us about that energy. That's pretty deep.
I like that, man. I like that.
That's pretty deep.
I just wrote something out, which I'm probably going to use. I love these conversations, by the way, because they take out, they bring out a lot more amazing things. Here's what I'll leave you with. I say tie your results to your standards, and your standards are created by your routines daily. And that's, I mean, look at our lives, right?
Yeah.
What you do on a daily basis, either purposeful or not, right? Like what Todd said, exercise, diet, going outside, meditating, all those things you need. Well, how do they function on a daily routine with you? How often are you going to do them? Daily, every once in a while, half-ass them? I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm looking at Nick. Nick's looking at me. He's going to keep me accountable. I'm going to keep him accountable. I want him to show up as a better Nick tomorrow. If I'm like, Nick, you didn't work out today? Shit, get your ass to the gym right now, dude.
Yeah.
I need to see those pictures on Instagram because I know it creates a better Nick.
You know, right? There's a bunch of things we didn't get into, like, which is good because we're going to have another webinar end of July, early August on this too, about establishing healthy habits and routines, discussing the role of habits and routines in supporting your mental health. We like kind of discussed it a little bit, but we're having a second webinar end of July, early August. And in September, when the kids are back in school and you guys are back from summer break, hopefully you take a break at some point in the summer. we're going to have a whole course on this. And so it'll break down. It won't be an hour. It'll break down everything that we're talking about now, but like in much more granular ways. So we'll keep you guys updated on that because you're registered for this. So we know where you are. We have your email addresses. But we'll keep you updated on the second webinar, and we'll keep you updated on the class as we create that. Todd wants to know, Tristan, can you repeat that statement about standards and routines?
I'm refining it right now, man. It came out of our conversation, but I put your results are tied to your standards, and your standards are created by your daily routines.
Your results are tied to your standards, and your standards are
created by your daily routines.
Cool. Hey guys, thanks for being on the call. We're going to send a replay out. We'll get it nice and edited so it looks pretty. And send it out to everybody. If you don't worry, we have your email addresses. We'll also add it to our YouTube channel. And be on the lookout for the next webinar. And if you're interested, once we start rolling out the class, not sure how long the class will be, but we'll get more insight on that as we get closer. Also, in the chat, there's some downloads I posted a couple times. Click on the Dropbox link that I posted in the chat. There's a couple downloads that look pretty there that you can help. I think there's a self-care checklist and a couple other things. But
if you have any questions, you want to work with us closer, or you just want to chat, Nick, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, because both Tristan and I do coaching, one-on-one and group coaching. So if you, one of my, hold on, I cannot type and talk at the same time. Just reach out to me at Nick Baldwin Realtor at Gmail, or I'm doing something that I never do. Here's my direct cell.
Ooh, damn, bro. I put my Instagram. I was like, just DM me on Instagram.
Oh, well, yeah. Listen, I'm a little nicer than Tristan, so just kidding.
This is a nice scale, and he's winning.
Message me, email me, text me if you want to explore this further. We can definitely help you in any way, shape, or form. Although we are not psychiatrists or therapists.
Yeah,
we can't diagnose you. You do not want.
I yell at you, so I don't know if you want to work with me.
You do not. Well, yeah, and you don't want me. My kid was like, the other day I was taking my medication in the morning. I take literally 5 antidepressants and anti-anxieties. And my kid, he's 11 years old, just turned 11 yesterday. He has Tourette syndrome. So he takes several medications too. But yesterday he saw me taking my medicine. He's like, Dad, you take all of that? I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, I get it. Like, I get what you go through, except for the Tourette, but because he has depression and OCD and anxiety that comes along with the Tourette. But he was like, dude, he's like, I had no idea. I'm like, yeah, your dad's like screwed up, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I take, it takes a lot to keep me happy, but it works.
That's so good.
So yeah, text me, guys. Email me, text me, go follow Tristan, and we'll see you on the next one, and we'll keep you updated on when that is, and we'll send out a replay soon. Thanks, everybody.